I still remember that day, August 16th, 2008, Chicago. The comedy world seemed to fall silent. Bernie Mac was gone. At his funeral, amidst flashing cameras and A-list stars, one chair was empty. Katt Williams. The man who called himself Bernie's loyal disciple simply didn't show up. Immediately, the labels came. Ungrateful, unstable, always trouble. But in Hollywood, absence isn't always a mistake. It can be a statement. Katt's absence hid a truth Hollywood tried to bury. Katt didn't see Bernie as just a colleague. In the brutal world of stand-up, where ego often outweighs humility, Bernie Mac was the gold standard, the moral compass of comedy. Bernie didn't perform, he bared his soul. He could make tens of thousands roar with laughter and then confront them with brutal truth. Katt saw in Bernie a man who stood tall, spoke honestly, and refused compromise. A man whose authority came from truth, not contracts or applause. Both came from nothing. Bernie from Chicago's South Side, Katt once homeless. Their shared struggle taught them, laughter is survival. Mainstream entertainment dismissed them, but they refused to sanitize their stories. Bernie's defiance became a mirror for Katt, a rebel who would never bow. Backstage, Bernie became more than a mentor. He was a father figure. He taught Katt not just to be funny, but to stay true, to protect his identity, his family, his voice. They can take your shows, your money, but never the truth from your mouth, Bernie said. Katt listened because Bernie was the only one he ever would. The silent war, the kings of comedy. When the crown becomes a curse, the original Kings of Comedy tour, 1997-1999, was legendary. Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hewley, and Bernie Mac shook arenas, grossing $37 million in just 2 years, over $70 million today. Spike Lee's 2000 documentary added another $38 million, proving their dominance. But from Katt Williams' perspective, the title Kings wasn't honor. It was a curse. Behind the hugs and laughter, he saw the loneliness of stand-up. On stage, there's no brotherhood, only ego, power, and survival. Who controls the show? Who earns the glory? Who gets remembered? Bernie Mac was the paradox. The closer nobody wanted to follow, because when Bernie stepped on stage, he didn't perform. He demolished. Audiences laughed, cried, and gasped, leaving the next comedian cleaning up the wreckage. He was too powerful, too real. Steve Harvey, the group's host and self-declared captain, controlled the rotation and the money. Katt Williams called it out bluntly. There was no rotation. That was Steve Harvey's tour. Bernie brought the substance. Steve collected the glory. Audience stats proved it. 70% came just to see Bernie. Yet he was the one pushed aside. Katt witnessed the injustice firsthand. Even as Bernie's health declined from sarcoidosis, his so-called brothers reduced his roles, limited opportunities, and sidelined the man who made history with them. Betrayal and silence became the industry's tools. That's why Katt chose to stand alone. He wields truth, not knives. And his biggest target, Steve Harvey, the man he believes betrayed Bernie's legacy. In early 2024, on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Katt unleashed it all, calling Steve an idea thief, mocking his sitcoms, and challenging his polished image. Katt didn't seek fame. He demanded accountability. He reminded the world how Steve abandoned stand-up for safety and comfort, while Bernie fought on the stage every night, honest and raw. Through it all, Katt's loyalty wasn't to fame, it was to truth. Bernie Mac's legacy wasn't just comedy, it was integrity, and Katt made sure no one could rewrite that story. Bernie Mac, the physically imposing king with a booming voice, hid a heartbreaking secret. Sarcoidosis had weakened his lungs years earlier. When he died, it wasn't the disease alone. It was pneumonia complications his frail body couldn't fight. For 3 weeks before his death, he was hospitalized, quietly battling the body that had carried so much laughter. In early August 2008, Bernie Mac's manager said he was stable. Days later, he was gone. His wife, Rhonda, cried, "Don't leave me." Katt Williams had seen Bernie struggling on high-dose medication while audiences laughed, oblivious. Colleagues did little until the funeral. On August 16, 2008, Nearly 7,000 mourners came to Chicago's House of Hope Church, but Katt was absent. The media called him ungrateful, yet his absence was the truest act of respect. He couldn't stand the funeral spectacle. Hollywood had turned grief into PR. Katt refused to participate in the hypocrisy of people who had pushed Bernie to the margins while alive, now pretending to mourn. He wanted to preserve Bernie's true image, the electric, larger-than-life performer, not a lifeless casket. Katt saw himself as the spiritual heir to Bernie's pride. Bernie never compromised his dignity, refusing to wear a dress, literally or metaphorically, for fame. Katt honored that principle, grieving privately and preserving Bernie's legacy. After Bernie's death, Hollywood offered Katt the crown of the next king of comedy. Most would have accepted, but he refused, seeing a system that had exploited Bernie now trying to profit from his absence. Refusing the crown came at a cost. Between 2010 and 2016, Katt faced media attacks, tabloids magnifying legal issues and rumors, canceled shows, lost brand deals, and isolation from Hollywood's power circles. Katt chose the lonely path of truth over safety. While others cultivated careers by obeying the system, smooth public images, billion-dollar revenues, Katt exposed hypocrisy, defended Bernie Mac's legacy, and called out Steve Harvey for stealing material. He paid with his reputation, yet he stayed true. Katt once said, "They'll give you everything if you bow your head and take it all back if you stand tall." He understood something few others did. It's better to be called crazy for telling the truth than celebrated for lying. That was Bernie Mac's greatest legacy, and Katt protected it at the highest cost. Katt refused to become part of the Hollywood machine that, in his eyes, had failed Bernie. Standing in a room full of mud, he fought not to be stained. Real respect, he showed, isn't for public display. It exists quietly between you and the soul of the departed. Katt's absence from the funeral wasn't ungratefulness. It was the highest loyalty. He stayed away out of honesty and love for Bernie, to let his mentor be reduced to a prop for someone else's image. 2 decades accepted the labels, addict, but when he spoke the truth, the world shook. He isn't measured by truth of those no longer truly die as long as we remember them. If you want to keep these stories like to silent legends, fondest memory, I'd love to read your stories. Click on this video to continue the journey next time.